boys and girls. Welcome to another at-home art lesson. Today, we are going to be talking about linear perspective. Now, linear perspective is a technique that artists use to create depth and space in their artwork, and it creates a realistic three-dimensional effect to your drawings. So a couple key terms we are going to talk about. The horizon line. So the horizon line is the line where the land or sea and the sky meet. It's an imaginary line to which things recede as they go back into space. Now, the horizon line is actually the viewer's eye level. So if there were a person standing right here, this line would be where their eyes are looking. So this is where the sky and the land meet. Our next word is going to be the vanishing point. The vanishing point is the point in linear perspective on the horizon line at which all receding lines converge and diminish. So all of our lines are going to go back into space and they're going to meet at this point. Our next word is one-point perspective. And one-point perspective is a drawing technique in which all diagonal lines converge to a single point, the vanishing point, on a horizon line. So I'm going to go to our next word and then we're going to compare one-point perspective. Now, two-point perspective is a drawing technique in which all diagonal lines converge to one of the 2 points on the horizon line, the vanishing points. So I want us to look at these two and compare the difference. So in one-point perspective, the surfaces that you're looking at, and I'm going to draw an example as I'm talking about it. The surface that you're looking at is a straight shape. So this would be if the person is standing directly in front of this building, and then these lines back here are going to go towards the vanishing point, and that's going to create our three-dimensional space. If you compare it to two-point perspective, you'll notice that we're standing at the corner of the building, and the sides of the building are going back in two different directions to two different vanishing points. So the difference between 1 point and 2 point, 1 point has one vanishing point, and the front surface of, in this case, the building, is going to be a flat shape. Whereas in 2 point perspective, you're going to get both sides of the object that are going back. So as an example, let's say these are my two vanishing points. This time when I'm drawing the building, I'm going to start with my vertical line. All your lines are always going to stay vertical when you're doing perspective. And then I'm going to go back to this vanishing point. I'm going to go back to this vanishing point. I'm going to make it a little taller. I'm going to go back to this vanishing point, back here, and then I'm going to continue my straight line down. Now, 2 point perspective is a little more difficult than 1 point. So if you feel like you've mastered 1 point perspective, then I want you for the assignment to complete yours using 2 point perspective. All right, our next word that I want to talk about is foreshortening. Foreshortening is the visual distortion of objects from a particular perspective as they recede into space. So I'm going to draw a couple examples using foreshortening. So if I were to draw a cylinder, to create a cylinder, you're going to start with an oval. Now this top of the oval is foreshortened, which basically means that it's been squished. And then we're going to draw two lines coming down and a curved line. So this right here is your foreshortened shape. And it's foreshortened because as you're looking at it, you're not looking at it from a bird's eye view. If you were looking straight down on the cylinder, you would just see a circle. But since you're standing in front of it and it's receding back into space, it's going to be foreshortened or squished. The same would happen if you were drawing a box or a cube. The top is going to be foreshortened because this point is going back in space. This point is closest to us. So these two things would be considered foreshortened. Now that we've reviewed, let's get started. And we are going to start by drawing our horizon line. Okay, and remember, our horizon line is the line where our sky and ground is going to meet. This is the eye level of the person that is standing and looking at this. Now, to start with 1 point perspective, you're going to start by drawing a point. It doesn't have to be in the dead center of the paper. Actually, to make it a little more interesting, I'm going to make it to the side. And now the assignment that I want you all to do is you're going to create your very own cityscape. And you're going to get to be able to be creative, but I want you to use 1 point perspective or 2 point perspective. So to start, I'm going to start by drawing a rectangle. And I'm not using a ruler, I'm just freehanding. In 1 point, you want to make sure that all your horizontal and vertical lines in the front are as straight as possible. And then for the sides, remember, everything goes back to that vanishing point. So you're going to kind of draw a line from the vanishing point there, and then you're going to draw a straight line. And this horizon line will end up, you want to draw it lightly at first because we're going to go back and erase it wherever it intersects the building. I'm going to make my building have a little like stair step at the top. So this here, and then the side is what's going to angle back. I'm going to draw a flag at the top of this one and draw a wavy line, make my flag look three-dimensional. Okay, now one thing to note, I'm gonna add some cylinder-shaped buildings to my city, and we practiced drawing our foreshortened oval on the page before. One thing to note, if you are drawing your cylinder above the horizon line, you are not gonna see the top of it. Just like in this building here, we're not seeing the top of the square because it's above our eye level. So if I draw a cylinder down here, I will see the top because it is below eye level. So I'm gonna draw a cylinder shaped building. Now, if I add a top cylinder here, I'm not gonna see the top. So instead, I'm just gonna see a curved line. Perfect. And the thing about a city is that it is a big cluster of buildings. So there's gonna be buildings that overlap each other. So right here, I'm gonna draw another rectangle that's going behind this building. I'm going to make it a wide, almost like square building. And then remember my vanishing point, all these lines need to go back there. I'm going to make this one kind of a wide building, and then I'm going to go straight down. So see how I'm starting to create depth by making some of my buildings go behind each other. And you can even add, I'm going to show you how to draw like a pyramid building. So if I start with a triangle, I can then, with my vanishing point, go back and I can create a pyramid, or almost it kind of looks like a tent. And then you can also go back and start adding some of your details, like your doors. If you want to make your windows look three-dimensional, you can add a thickness to them. I'm going to add a little spire at the top of that one. I want you all to fill your page with buildings. You can fill it with people. I feel inspired by playing Minecraft with my nephew over the break. And one thing I noticed about the Minecraft characters is that they're very, well, they're made out of squares and blocks. So right here, I'm going to draw a Minecraft character and draw him in perspective. Feel free to add characters, to add people to your city. That's just gonna make it that much more interesting. Okay, so I'm going back to that vanishing point. And you're not even like drawing the line, you're just creating like an invisible line to go back in space. That's gonna be the shoulder. That one, I'm not gonna see anything. Can add a face. Okay, if I were to draw another Minecraft character back here, it's gonna be smaller because remember, it's going back into the background. And then I'm gonna also go back to that vanishing point. This one I'm seeing a little bit of the side. And as things go back into the background, you're gonna see less and less detail. So things that are closer to you are gonna be a lot more detailed. So now that you have the basic skills to create your city, I want you to take time and create your own. And we'll come back once we have it all drawn out and color it in together. All right, boys and girls, now that you have your city drawn and your details added, I want us to go back and add some shading to make this look even more three-dimensional. Now, I outlined mine with a pen so that you can see it better, but you can keep yours in pencil. But if you have the pen and you'd like to outline it, then go for it. So for our shading, we have to decide which direction the sun is coming from, because that's going to show us where our shadows are and where our lightest spots are. So I drew my sun here in the left corner of my paper. So basically anything on this side where the sun is hitting it is going to be light, and on the opposite side it's going to be dark. So since the sun is coming this direction, this side right here is going to be in shadow. So I'm going to start adding some shading with my pencil. Okay, I'm going to start doing that on my other as well. Okay, now there's something also called cast shadow. So cast shadow is what is projected onto the ground. So from on this side, you're gonna have a cast shadow that's gonna happen on this surface. It's gonna be a shadow of this element right here. All right, so I'm gonna continue shading the sides of my rectangular buildings, and then I'll come back and we'll tackle the cylinders. All right, so now let's start tackling our cylinder shapes. Now, to get our cylinder shapes looking three-dimensional, you're gonna want to, with your shading, mimic the same curved shape. You don't want to just color with a straight line, because this is going to help it to feel like it's actually round. So the edges are going to be a little bit darker, and then it's going to slowly get lighter as it goes towards the middle. And pencil's perfect for this because you can get that soft blending effect. Another thing you can do is you can start blending with your finger. And then you can, with your eraser, kind of go back to get that highlight back. And you can do the same thing for your rectangle shaped buildings that you did earlier. That's just gonna help it feel a little bit softer. Okay, so I'm gonna take some time right now and I'm gonna go and finish shading my circular buildings. All right, boys and girls, that is the basics of 1-point perspective and shading. I can't wait to see what cities you create. And just remember, if what you created at first you don't like, then you can always try again. You're not gonna get good at doing something the first time. So remember, practice, practice, practice. And that's how you're gonna master drawing in 3D. And also, if this was super easy for you, then I want you to draw your city in 2-point perspective. Again, can't wait to see the cities that you create.